good defense. It was back in the first quarter when a certain SU linebacker put his stamp on the game early.
Beck gets the ball. He's back to pass again. Pressure coming from his blind side, and he's sacked. Gary Bryant III comes off the edge in a nickel look and wraps up Carson Beck.
Well, the Orange and Hurricanes were Brian Sack was an early tease of what might have been to come against Miami because SU's defense continued to dominate.
Beck gets the snap, looks to his right, then scans back to his left. Pressure coming. He escapes one sack, and then he's taken down. He was tripped up by Anwar Sparrow, who was in hot pursuit of him as he tried to roll out to his left with 1:30 to play in the first quarter.
The Orange and Hurricanes were even at 0 after the first quarter, but to start the second, Syracuse QB Ricky Collins took off out of the backfield.
Claps the hands and he takes the snap. Pressure coming left. Tries to step up. He gets away as a hole. There he goes towards the left side. He slides down and has the first down.
Well, Collins had that nice play, but Syracuse didn't have any points on the board to show for it. And on the other sideline, the Hurricanes got their offensive wheels turning.
Beck once again in the gun, takes the snap and fakes the handoff and end around towards the far side, and now a throw to Beck, looking towards the end zone, has open space, here he goes, the 5, and waltzes into the end zone for the Miami touchdown. Trickeration for the Hurricanes. 6-0 Hurricanes here in the second quarter.
Okay, well, if Miami can do it, then Syracuse should be able to do it too, right? With the ball, 2 minutes to play in the first half, this should be easy enough, right?
Ricky Collins in the gun, and he takes the snap. Drops back 5 yards, steps up, fires right side, pass intercepted. Here they come at the 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Miami. Keontae Scott, the senior on the near side, had an opening lane, and the Hurricanes extend their lead right before halftime.
Oh boy, interception number 9 on the season for Collins, and the Orange trailed 14-0 at the break. SU desperately needed some offense, and the running back was ready to help.
Left, he takes the snap, hands off to Nixon, jets past left guard, races up to the 35-40, up to the 45, pass to the 50, and he knocks out of bounds right near midfield. A long run for Will Nixon on the first play from scrimmage. They mark it officially at the 48-yard line on the Syracuse side of the field, and a first down for the Orange.
It was a nice start. Nixon's run was part of a promising drive that ended in an Orange field goal early in the third quarter, SU's first points of the game. But the Canes weren't just going to sit there and let that happen without a response.
Beck gets the ball, looks left to those 3 receivers, whips it into the hands of his receiver, and he's gone. It's Keelan Marion, plenty of space, to the 10, to the 5, touchdown Canes. Only one high safety for the Orange, and they get burned. Carson Beck with a strike to Marion. 20-3. Hurricanes lead with 9:57 to go in the third quarter.
They say Hurricane season is over, but nobody told wide receiver Keelan Marion that on a 61-yard touchdown. It was the longest play of the game for either side. And if you thought Miami was done, you'd surely be mistaken.
Hand off Pringle. He races up toward the left sideline, gets free to the 10, to the 5. Touchdown Miami. 27-3. Canes lead it with 2:25 to go in the third quarter.
Gerard Pringle was a part of over 100 yards on the ground for Miami, but the Hurricanes' domination wasn't just on offense.
Snap to Beck, looking left side, and he rolls out and throws towards the right side as an open man. That's his offensive lineman down the right sideline. Touchdown Miami. The top 15 pick potentially. Francis Manoa with the run down the right sideline. His first touchdown of the season. 37-3 Miami, 2:53 to go in this fourth quarter.
Anyone else feeling like this might be like the Oprah show? You get a touchdown. You get a touchdown. Even offensive lineman Francis Manoa gets a touchdown. But the Orange wouldn't end on a completely sour note when freshman quarterback Joe Filardi came into the game.
Ball at the 20-yard line now. Filardi with the snap. The back, Jaden Hart, looks towards the end zone. Fires there. Caught. Touchdown, Syracuse. The Orange finally strike Elijah Washington Baker, and SU has its first touchdown in a whole while. Syracuse in double digits, 38-10. Hurricanes with 21 seconds to go in this fourth quarter.
It was the first touchdown pass for Filardi and the first receiving touchdown for Elijah Washington Baker. Couple of cute firsts, but way too little and way too late for SU.
Miami content to run out the clock, and Syracuse lays another egg on the road. The coaching change is not enough. The offense stymied, and Syracuse falls by a final score of 38-10 here in Miami Gardens against the Hurricanes.
Just like that, Syracuse has lost 6 straight, and things do not get easier after a bye week, with number 10 Notre Dame Fighting Irish on the horizon. The national runners-up in South Bend, definitely not one that Syracuse will be looking forward to. Only 2 games left of the season. Can you believe it? Feels like really just yesterday that this season started. Time really does fly when you're kind of having fun. And this has been a fun season. It's been a very fun broadcast. Before we wrap things up, it's time to crown our WAER player of the game. There weren't really any performances on offense, at least, that really jumped off the page to me. What I'm really looking at was a pick 6 back in the late second quarter that really sprung things open for the Hurricanes. It was a very low-scoring game up until defensive back Jacoby Thomas took a pick to the house. That wasn't his only contribution. He also had an 11-yard sack on the play. Have yourself a day, Jacoby Thomas. He also recovered a fumble. This guy was doing everything. That is your WAER defensive player of the game. Helped hold Syracuse to just 10 points while contributing 38 to the Hurricanes. What a day it's been. This has been quite the long one. We started all the way back at 12:30 before our basketball game between Syracuse and Delaware State. Syracuse won that one 83-43 if you missed it. And don't miss our next broadcast. It's going to be a basketball game again. At 3:30 on next Saturday, Syracuse goes down to Philly to play Drexel in the Xfinity Mobile Arena, the same place where the 76ers play. And the football next broadcast will be after the bye week. So on Saturday, November 22nd, that'll be right before Thanksgiving at 3:30, Syracuse versus Notre Dame in South Bend, Notre Dame Stadium. We thank you all for listening in. We're not done yet, but first, a couple thank yous to hand out across our behind-the-scenes team. Gino Antamarino was our producer today of this broadcast. Nico Horning, the engineer. We had Sydney Chan on radio replay with Josh Solomon writing the scripts. And the entire WAER sports desk today, playing a little shorthanded, but still got this thing off the ground. We thank them so profusely when we can't thank them enough. All right, that's enough from this game, but not really. I know you guys want to get your voice heard. You're probably very, very frustrated after Syracuse lost by 28 to Miami. Well, you're in luck. Our coverage rolls on with the double overtime with Adam Gotkin and Sam Reese. Please feel free to let them be your personal therapists, if you will. You can call in 315-443-2011. The double overtime hosts Adam Gotkin and Sam Reese are set to take it away. Guys, what a putrid performance.
Yeah, Jish, that was tough. Another really tough one. The 6th straight week that Syracuse loses in flat-out non-competitive fashion. The Orange will not be going bowling. Thank goodness the basketball team played today, Sam, and we can talk about that as well, because if not, then I feel like we would just be going in circles for an hour and 15 minutes today, because nothing's changed with this football team. They still stink.
I was just going to say exactly that. Thank goodness that the basketball team was in action before that football game. I am excited to break that down a little bit more than the football game you and I just watched and listened to. There were plenty of positives, though, to take out of that game on the hardwood, so we'll dive into that as well.
Yes, we will. Because of the doubleheader, we're talking both football and basketball today on the double overtime, so don't you worry. You can talk about whatever you want. We're with you up until 8:30, so why not wait any longer? Let's go. The double overtime starts right now.
The game may be over, but our coverage on WAER is not. Here on the double overtime, we'll be breaking down all the highs.
Quarter claps. This time he gets it. Looks to the left corner of the end zone. 1v1 ball for Meeks. He went up there and he got it. Touchdown, Syracuse.
Ford takes the snap, drops back, looking to the left, lofts it down the field, and gets it, catches it. Gain of 20, first down, Orange.
McCord in the gun, takes the snap, hands off Allen, and one-on-one with a UNLV defender. He breaks the tackle and finds the end zone. Absolute cinema in the Sin City.
And the lows.
Ford the snap, throws it near side, and it's intercepted by Pittsburgh to the 10, and he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Panthers. Rasheed Biles with a pick six to the house. The snap, the hold, the kick is up, and it's good. Emmett Kenny is the hero. It's Syracuse. The Cardinal walk off the orange.
Delivering our hottest takes along the way.
When you have this many talented receivers, this deep of a group, someone has to be in single coverage.
It was Jackson
They
Meeks.
talked about it in Jackson Meeks in the second half, but in that sense, it was Trevor Pena. You leave Pena wide open, and you get him a great chance to make a great catch.
What did we just watch?
I don't know.
This is the third-ranked passing offense in the nation going into the game. I'm sorry, that team did not show up. They were left in the bye week. A lot of rust offensively to start this one off, and it never got better for the Orange.
Get your voice heard by calling in at 315-443-2011 or check out our YouTube at WAER Sports Talk. It's the double overtime, and it starts right now.
Welcome into the double overtime, everyone. Adam Gotkin and Sam Reese with you here on WAER up until 8:30. We've got a pair of games to talk about today. Syracuse football gets absolutely destroyed once again. Today, 38-10 at the hands of number 18, Miami. Syracuse basketball, though, picks up a big win, the biggest win of the Adrian Autry era, a 40-point blowout win, 83-43, the final over Delaware State. We'll open up the floor to all of you at home. If you want to talk football, if you want to talk basketball, we will talk whatever you want to. So call in 315-443-2011. We will have both of our reporters who were at both games in the Dome and in Miami joining us. So at the start, we'll kind of just go wherever the show takes us here because, as much as we'd love to talk football, there's only 2 more games left. Sam, I don't know if I can talk about this football team for 20 minutes.
No, I think things would get a bit repetitive, right?
Ricky Collins, bad.
Yeah.
That's all right. We ready to talk hoops yet? Not really. I think we do actually have to talk a little bit of football here because that game did just wrap up. And once again, it was the offense just being non-existent. Second straight game. The lack of just pure ability to not make boneheaded plays when you had a chance in the red zone. The false starts multiple times on 1st and goal, and then not going for it on 4th and 3 at the 15-yard line when you can't score a touchdown.
Yeah, right. That's what's just so infuriating because we know by now, and everyone listening knows by now, that this offense is not good with anyone not named Steve Angeli as its quarterback, right? The Joe Filardi experiment last week did not go well. No. So back to Ricky Collins you go, and it's more of the same from him. But yes, you're right. Down the wire first half, you're still actually in the game, and you fumble the football after committing a penalty from the 5-yard line, and you can't even get a single point out of that. That's like, as bad as the offense was playing, that's your chance to finally score. And then, first drive of the second half. Why are you attempting a field goal when you're only down 14 at that point? If you go for it and, something good happens, right? It can happen. You can convert it. You go down, get in the end zone. It's a one-touchdown game, and it's actually kind of within reach despite how incompetent the offense is. But instead, that was a sign to me that they were surrendering right then and there.
Yeah, I agree.
Even though that made an 11-point game, you kind of knew, okay, Fran Brown, his goal here is just to, try to get a point on the board rather than actually do what you probably should have done in that situation, which was go for it.
Because there's no world in which Syracuse was going to score more than 20 points in this game.
Exactly.
So there was no world in which they were going to score more than 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
If you had a chance, 4th and 3 at the Miami 15,
right.
I don't understand how you don't go for it there.
Me neither.
Because you're not going to move the ball down the field again. That's the one that really, I think, frustrated me the most. Because the false starts, that's awful, but how much can we say over and over again that false starts are annoying? Like, they did it against Georgia Tech. They've done it.
It's the same old thing.
Over and over again. They did it with Dino Babers. Those dumb penalties. But, that 4th and 3, 11-12 to go in the third quarter. I just don't understand it. You're right. It feels like giving up. Like, I wish ESPN college football did what ESPN NFL does, where they have the analytics come up and it says, like, 4th and blank less, go. Like, that 100% was a go for it situation. Like, that is where you be aggressive. And no, you kick a field goal. And let's not forget, they didn't just kick a field goal. They had to take a delay a game before kicking the field goal, which
they
maybe could have made it a little bit harder because they didn't know what decision to make.
That was what was weird, too, because the offense was left on the field for a while.
They wanted to go for it. Jonte Cook was screaming to the sideline saying, please let us go for it.
And then with under 15 seconds on the play clock, Fran Brown is like, nope. Come off, and then the special teams unit went out, and by the time they were lined up, it was like 1 second on the play clock, and it's like, oh shoot, if you don't want to burn a timeout here, you got to take the delay of game. So that just seemed indecisive in the moment, and I didn't get it.
No, I didn't get it at all. We're talking Syracuse here on the double overtime football right now. We'll get into the basketball game in just a little bit. Call in 315-443-2011 if you want to voice your displeasure about what's going on the gridiron, or if you want to be happy with us about the hardwood. We're going to keep things football for just a little bit longer here before we transition to talking hoops. The other thing with Ricky Collins that I just still really don't understand, Sam, is that there were moments where I thought that he looked okay scrambling once again. Not a part of the game plan for him to run. Why are designed rollouts? Why are there no read options or just something for him to run the football? I just... It's obviously in the playbook because we've seen Joe Filardi do it. We've seen Luke Carney do it. Right. Yet when Ricky Collins is in the game, they don't want him to run with it. Yet anytime he scrambles, it works. Like,
it works way better than him trying to throw.
So much better of a scrambler than he is a thrower. 3 minutes into that second quarter, he had a great scramble where it was really good pocket presence. He steps up in the pocket, sees the offensive line, and he jumps through it, and he gets a first down. Of course, he almost throws an interception on the next play.
Obviously.
But, like he has the ability to make something out of nothing when the play breaks down. So if you give him an extra blocker and you run a power, the QB power, you think he'd have success. But no, they don't even try it.
When you're 25 pass attempts for Ricky Collins, just too much for even him. He only completes 12 of those. Like, it's been proven that he cannot
throw the football.
He cannot throw the football consistently well.
No.
Under 100 yards. So to your point, once you're at this stage of the season, right, where it's Collins' 5th start, and I get there's really no other options at this point, as evidenced last weekend, but it's November 8th. Like, you're on a 5-game losing streak. To do what's best for the team, it would be running the ball with Ricky more, and I don't understand why that wasn't done.
All right, well, we've got Ron on the line who wants to talk about this quarterback situation. Ron, what you got for us?
Yeah, hi guys. I've called and I've said it before. During the streak here, that at least this is just my opinion, but Ricky Collins isn't the guy. The way he is out there, some of his throws are just terrible. But let me say this too, and he only got in at the end. Give Filardi credit. The kid started his first game last week. He looked terrible. He looked nervous and stuff. But he got in there today, and he didn't look bad. And he almost got killed with that guy blitzing off the side where nobody picked him up. But still, the kid did a good job, and I give him all the credit in the world. It wasn't going to change the game. The other thing, just one more thing I wanted to say, guys. Coach Brown has talked about the fans don't come to the game. It's not their job to come to the game. It's the team's job to put something on the field where the fans want to come to the game to see it. Based on that, I don't think there's going to be many at the BC game.
I agree
that's
with you.
about it, guys.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, Ron, especially considering that's on the back end of Thanksgiving too, where not a lot of students will be back, and even the fans around here probably won't have much reason to go. Now, my question to you is, I get it, small sample size, but yes, Filardi, 3 for 3. He completed 75% of the passes he did in his whole start against UNC on that final drive. Is there any reason at this point, is it worth it to put Filardi back out there as the starter against Notre Dame, or do you just ride it out with Ricky Collins at this point?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm almost thinking, and I'm not sure, but I think it may have been a better deal to start Collins with that North Carolina game. It just looked to me like Filardi was very, very uncomfortable in that start. But now coming in the position he came in today, he had nothing to lose. He looked a lot more comfortable, and maybe the same type of situation. Put Collins in a little bit and then bring him in. But Collins is not the guy. I don't think he's going to be here next year. But that's it, guys. So.
Right,
but
Ron,
by the way, I know you're going to talk basketball. I got to listen to you guys call the game today, and boy, again, the competition's not that great, but boy, I'm feeling good there, especially with the young Anthony kid. He sounds really good.
He does, and it's nice to be able to watch a winning team, even if it's not football right now. It is nice. Ron, thank you so much for calling in. We really appreciate it. We always do. Sam, that just made me think of something that I didn't really think of before going into that North Carolina game. Mm-hmm. Would it have made sense to start Ricky Collins to give him a confidence boost in that game? Because I honestly, I almost feel bad for him of the fact of he has to start against Georgia Tech. They're a top 10 team at the time, right, on the road?
Yeah.
And then
7.
You give him the game off against UNC, who's a bad team. And then you say, oh, you know what? You got that game off. Here you go. You're on the road again against another top 20 team. Would it have made sense to have Ricky Collins play against North Carolina as, a confidence booster?
And then Filardi today, or...
but that's the thing is, what was the point of playing Filardi? Did Fran Brown, when he started Joe Filardi against UNC, think that was going to be the solution for the rest of the year?
Probably not, but I think he wanted to at least see if Filardi could do something better than Collins had done in his previous 4 starts. I do understand why Fran Brown went with someone other than Ricky Collins.
Oh, I get it too. Ricky's not he's not a quarterback. Yeah, he's not good enough to be a quarterback.
So my thing is, I get what you're saying and what Ron is saying too, where that North Carolina game, that's one of the more winnable games that you had left on the schedule.
Yeah, you should have gone and won that if you had the chance with Ricky, because Ricky's obviously gives you a better chance, right? Does he give you a better chance?
I don't know. I think Fran Brown doubted that, and that's why he made the change. For me, it was a situation of, okay, Fran has given Ricky a whole month, 4 starts.
Mm-hmm.
The UNC game just happens to be the next game.
Yeah.
And a change has to happen here no matter what. And unfortunately, Joe Filardi struggled so much there that I think Fran realized, okay, we kind of have to go back to Ricky here. And again, it just happened to be another ranked team up next in Miami. You're right, though. It did put Ricky Collins in an unfortunate spot where it's the game you get off is the one non-ranked team we have in a while that's also struggling. And now you're thrown back into the fire. I don't know if there's any better solutions, though. There isn't really. Yeah, we know that by now.
There's nothing that's good with this, and no matter what, it's going to be bad. That's the moral of the story. It's not going to be good. But you know what? Shout out Joe Filardi for driving the team down the field and scoring the touchdown, right?
I mean, it's true. The guy only completed 4 of 18 pass attempts last week against UNC.
3 for 3 against Miami. Yes, it's garbage time. Yes, you're going up against backups.
Booster. And we could see him on TV celebrating, on the sideline.
Well, we could barely see it because the cameramen were kind of checked out at that point.
Well, that's also true. Well, yeah, they missed the play. They didn't miss the celebrations, at least. I saw that on the sideline. The guys were happy for him. Joe had a smile on his face. That's at least good, right? I'm trying to be positive here.
Yeah, I bet you his Lax friends are happy for him. Well, we've got another caller, John from Liverpool, and shocker, he wants to talk about this quarterback room. And John, I'm assuming you don't think things are too good right now.
Well, of course they're not. And, of course, next year, hopefully Collins won't be back next year. The thing that but but I would like him to start the rest of the year because I think that he's capable of beating BC, and I think that it would just be more harmonious for the team in general, for team unity or whatever. Play him the last 2 games because I do think that he can beat Boston College at the Dome in the last game. But if you sit him for that Notre Dame game, he's going to be rusty. I say play him the last 2 games and then wish him good luck to wherever he goes next year. But that's just he's just not talented enough. I don't know. When you really play bad and then you show improvements, it's kind of like if you're a golfer that shoots 100 and then you shoot the next day you shoot 95. Well, it's still bad. So
Yeah.
it's so. But I wish the kid good luck wherever he goes. But he just doesn't seem real fast. He doesn't seem real accurate. He doesn't seem real powerful. Doesn't seem real decisive. But I just wish him the best wherever he goes, and I do hope that he starts the next 2 games. That's about it, guys.
Thank you so much for the call, John. We really appreciate it. Sam, I do think that Boston College game is a must-win for this program. In terms of the morale around this team, of course, it doesn't matter that much. It's a meaningless game, but BC's 1-9. They're 0-6 in the
really
ACC. They got absolutely demolished at home by SMU today. Bill O'Brien is screaming at reporters.
They somehow kept it close
awful.
against Notre Dame last week for a bit, and then
They did, but that was like a
fact that they only
rivalry
lost that-
game closeness of
yeah,
I feel like that. But I
No,
think
yeah, they're
you
bad.
have
They're
to
bad.
you have to win that game. I think.
Yeah, I don't know if they will though.
You said that earlier. I think the fact that you're at home, I think they might.
Well, no, but we just talked about with Ron, it's barely going to be a home game.
That's
right?
true. That's true. But
It's
it's
gonna-
not like it would be an away game if you played at BC.
No, there'd probably somehow be more Syracuse fans in the crowd at BC if it was there.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Syracuse BC end of the year
It's sad.
it's so sad. I remember that what was 2 years ago when it was at BC, I think, and it was just so disgusting. It was the night game. It was the flag plant game. You remember that?
Yeah, I was there. That was
Yeah.
3 years
Oh, that was
ago.
3 years ago,
And it was
sorry.
the end because it was during Thanksgiving break. I was home
Yes,
and I
yep.
went,
Mhm.
and that was a game.
And then what was the BC game 2 years ago?
Yes.
Was the Carlos Del Rio Wilson
17
start.
to 10.
Like 17-10, I think
Yeah.
he completed like 4 passes for like 30 yards.
I wonder how that Del Rio Wilson guy is doing.
Okay, although his team unfortunately lost today to JMU.
yeah,
I was
they
actually
did, they did.
keeping an eye on that. His stats at the start of the year were not as bad as you'd think.
Maybe he's proof that Ricky Collins can find.
Here's
a
the
home
question.
where-
Here's the question, because I don't think I can talk about this actual game anymore.
No, that's why I'm
would
not.
Carlos Del Rio Wilson be better than Ricky Collins in this offense? Like I'm taking
Maybe slightly.
I'm trying to think of like past
he-
Syracuse quarterbacks, like very recent ones. Like I'm
Yeah, he
taking,
probably
of
would be.
course, like DeVito. I'm taking,
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm taking everyone over
Yeah,
Ricky Collins. He
I-
can't complete a pass.
I agree. That's the problem.
It's
But
bad.
there was, like the Del Rio Wilson four interceptions in that one game. You can't really forget about that.
No,
it was
that's-
like in
ugh.
one half too.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's Northeast
I
football
still
for ya.
might prefer him over Ricky Collins.
Yeah. All right. Have we talked enough football? You think?
Perhaps.
All right. Let's talk some hoops here.
Yeah.
So Syracuse basketball, they pick up a really big win, 83-43. That's the biggest win numbers-wise of the Adrian Autry era. A 40-point victory over a team that you were analytically 25-point favorites against, which, we always talk about the net rankings, what that means. Syracuse had to beat Delaware State by 25 or more to move up in the KenPom, which they did. How happy were you at home with how the Orange played? Call in 315-443-2011. Sam, I was happy. A wire-to-wire win. They dominated. They put their foot on the gas. And Delaware State was bad, but even though they played a bad team, they had 100% effort, and they never really let down.
Well, again, we're talking about a Syracuse team that went to double overtime with Youngstown State last year. So,
Let's not forget that.
While, if you're listening to the show and you're a fan of Syracuse and you're arguing, well, Delaware State and Binghamton, two terrible teams. Yes, they're both ranked near the bottom of Ken Pom in Division I. They're not good teams, but Syracuse actually struggled against these type of teams early on last year.
Youngstown State wasn't as bad.
No, they weren't, but
Lemoyne was.
Lemoyne was, and that came down to the final minute of the game. So, that was a sign of things to come with Syracuse struggling against these type of opponents, we'll phrase it as. And the fact that they beat down Binghamton and then beat down Delaware State is a great sign. I mean,
it is.
Dominant from start to finish, never a question in both games, right? I mean, from start to finish, wire to wire, Syracuse pounced on this Delaware State team, and that's all you can ask for. I think a big goal for the Orange coming in, one step at a time, should have been going 4-0 before heading to Vegas. They're halfway there right now.
They had to be 4-0. If they weren't 4-0, then it was an absolute disaster, and season's
so
over. But
blowout wins. Too.
Yes, and that's what
a combo of both.
And the next two are going to be tougher. Drexel's okay. Monmouth is a little bit better than them.
Yeah, but you got to beat them.
You do. You have to win both those games. You have to win by a lot.
This gives the group a ton of confidence. It really has to, especially with no JJ Starling outside of the first 3 minutes of the season. Kyan Anthony has been lights out.
He has been.
He's been very impressive, clearly ready for the college game, even as a freshman, making his first start today. William Kyle has slotted in perfectly. Really, there's no one you can really complain about outside of maybe Nate King's being a little quiet, right? He's expected
I don't really think that's his fault.
No,
he's
it's
a spot-up shooter, and they're not giving him shots.
Correct, and he did finally make a three in this game. But everyone who's coming in is, at least contributing in some way, right?
Yeah, and
even
I think
Bryce Zephyr.
I think he's playing way too much, but that's a conversation for
I
another
do agree,
day.
but he was out there.
He was.
Stuff.
Here's the thing. Of all those guys, all those newcomers, even the few players who are back, I think the biggest difference when it comes to the Syracuse basketball team is just their attitude.
They're having fun.
They're having fun. They're energized.
The
they're
body
exciting.
language is
the body
good.
language. I mean, at home, how much of a difference have you all seen in the body language? Let us know. Call in 315-443-2011. Sam, I don't see any Chris Bells, Benny Williams, guys who are just sitting down, slouching on the bench, all sad about who knows what. They look engaged.
Yeah,
it makes a difference on the defensive end.
Yeah, it does. And now looking at it after the first two games of the season, right? I'm not going to overreact about anything, but you're right. They're excited. They're bringing the energy. It seems like they're enjoying playing with each other. Perhaps nearly an entire new roster with the exception of Donnie Freeman and JJ Starling. I'm not counting Noah Lobdell as a returner.
Please don't.
I'm not. In fact, me mentioning his name was kind of disgraceful.
Yeah, you should. Not worth it.
Yeah, but you get the point. Donnie Freeman and JJ Starling being the only returners, but then the rest of the squad being new actually is so far to me a really good thing because it's a whole group of 11 new guys between freshmen and transfers that have just given this team kind of a new start, right? I think you could make that argument. And yeah, as much as it was frustrating the last few years, maybe some of those guys that departed, it might have been for the better of the program because now you have these guys coming in that are excited to have a fresh start themselves and play for an ACC program in Syracuse. That's still a basketball school. It is. That's why we're talking about basketball right now already, right? And I think it's already making a difference where, yes, you might have had the question marks going in. How are all these new guys going to gel together? But right now, it's a bunch of guys excited to play with each other, and it's showing on the court.
It definitely is, and we've got James from Utica who wants to talk about this Hoops team. James, it's nice to see this Syracuse basketball team really playing with energy and passion for what seems like almost, I don't want to say the first time under Red, but it feels like kind of this is a different team than the last couple of years, doesn't it, James?
Absolutely. The commitment to defense is something I haven't seen in at least a couple of years, maybe even half a decade. William Kyle at the center position is just a huge upgrade. Rebounding, anchoring the defense. It just feels different this year. I know it's early. I know it's 2 non-conference games. I know it's 2 non-conference games against not great opponents. But it feels different. The defense looks good. And Nate George, that's a good point guard. That's a floor general. It feels good. Everything feels good right now.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I'll say this. The one thing about Kyle is that I'm a little bit worried about how he'll hold up against your much bigger, more physical ACC players. But the fact that, Syracuse has someone who can play above the rim like him,
13 rebounds.
It's such a nice change of pace, isn't it?
It absolutely is. You see, so on offense, that vertical element, to have someone when there's a pick and roll that you can throw a lob to, or a defense has to at least pay attention to. That stretches the floor just like a elite 3-point shooter does. The defense has to pay attention to him whenever he rolls to the basket.
Right.
And then on defense, it's nice to have someone know when there's a ball coming off the rim, he's going to compete for it. He's going to grab it. Hopefully, 6 blocks today. Like you said, it'll get different once it's ACC hoops.
Sure.
But man, I don't think we've had that type of rim defender in maybe since Jesse Edwards. It's been a minute. It's been a little while.
It's certainly been a minute. And my question for you here is, you talk about how you haven't seen this type of intensity and focus really from the defense in a while. You could argue half a decade. Do you think that's purely just the new players like William Kyle being on this team, or do you think that's anything the coaching staff is doing differently compared to the last couple of years?
I think the answer is yes, to be a cop-out answer. I think they recruited differently. You can see in the roster construction, this team is longer, it's bigger, it's more athletic, it can switch. From everyone from Sadiq White as a freshman to William Kyle to, there are times on the floor when we have folks who aren't shorter than 6'4", 6'5". That makes a difference. And then I think you can tell this coaching staff from what Red has said in, press conferences and throughout the year, defense is something they want to return to. Forever, yes, we've had awesome offensive players from, you can name them, forwards throughout the year, from Mello to Wes Johnson to Eli to Tyus Battle. But our calling card was defense. You came into Syracuse, it was the zone back then, and I'm hoping now it's not the zone, but you're going to have a tough time scoring points on Syracuse basketball.
Definitely, and thank you so much for the call, James. We really appreciate it. Sam, it is definitely, I think, a refreshing thing for these players to match what Adrian Autry said he wants the team's philosophy to be. Because last year it was all about athleticism, and you bring in Jake Pongarlos and Eddie Lampkin and Jair Davis, who are not very athletic basketball players. This year, these guys are athletic.
And that's what we kept saying last year, where it was like, oh, Adrian Autry, he's saying this is what he wants from his team, but how many times is he going to say that where the guys he has on his team clearly just can't really execute to the level he's looking for, especially with that athleticism and on the defensive end of the floor? So I agree with James. I agree with you where it's these new guys on the team that you have more size, you have more athleticism, and it's crazy the difference that can do to reinvigorate the way this squad is playing. I get it, it's Binghamton and Delaware State, but holding both of those teams to under 50 points in your first 2 games, pretty darn good on the defensive end of the floor.
Without a doubt. All right, well, when we come back from break, we're going to be very lucky to be joined by a man who was in the Dome for that basketball game. Our reporter, Ryan Croak, joins us on the other side. Don't go anywhere. The double overtime continues on in a moment.
Mexican singer Juan Gabriel sold millions of records and toured for decades to sold-out crowds before his death in 2016. A new Netflix documentary series tells the story of his life in his own voice through tapes shown for the first time. Plus, the latest on the government shutdown. The next morning edition from NPR News.
Weekdays from 5 to 9 on 88.3 WAER.
Like you know. It's a special appearance from Shadowlands featuring S. Carey and John Raymond on this week's Mountain Stage. We also welcome Tay and the Neighborly, Damn Tall Buildings, Ken Yates, and Aaron McCown.
Hi, this is John Raymond with Shadowlands. Join us this week in live performance on Mountain Stage.
Sunday from noon to 2 on 88.3 FM WAER.
The Ostrom Avenue Podcast, breaking down Syracuse athletics.
The students rush the field. The Orange are bowl eligible and 6-0 for just the third time in the last 87 years.
And interviewing the industry's experts.
We are now joined by a very special guest. It's Emily Leiker of Syracuse.com.
Check out video interviews on YouTube at Ostrom Avenue Podcast and weekly episodes on WAER.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
George down the near slot, around the Kyle screen, has space, far slot, fires a 20-footer. No good, Kyle, the putback stuff. William Kyle looks to the roof here in the dome. He almost just blew it open.
And our play-by-play guy, Nick Evans, not exaggerating there. William Kyle was lights out in this one. Syracuse 83, Delaware State 43. The final score. Welcome back to the double overtime. We were talking football a little bit earlier. Miami taking down Syracuse 38-10. Alongside Adam Gawkin, I'm Sam Reese, and we kind of flushed out all of our football thoughts. There's only so much you can say after that one, but we're happy to continue talking basketball here on the double overtime, and for that, we're joined by our talk reporter, Ryan Croak. If you want to join the conversation, make sure to call in at 315-443-2011. Already 3 callers. We're with you till 8:30, so we'd love a lot more. You can also interact with us on X at WAER Sports Talk. And once again, we're joined by our reporter, Ryan Croak, who is in the Dome for the game earlier this afternoon. That was a 1 p.m. start. If you're watching on our YouTube stream, Ryan's still all suited up, all business here. He's been waiting to join us here on the double overtime. And Ryan, Adam and I were touching on it a little bit, but again, yes, it's Delaware State, but still a very impressive performance from top to finish. And for me, I immediately point to Kyan Anthony making his first career start, 19 points. He's the real deal, I think we're already finding out.
Absolutely. I think what stuck out to me more than anything else was his poise. He looked so calm in the beginning, especially even during warm-ups. I noticed that he just had no expression on his face. He was going through everything. He was making practically every shot he put up, and he just looked so calm and so ready for the moment. And then he comes out. He had a great game against Binghamton on Monday, 15 points off the bench there, and then comes out today on his first collegiate start and is even better. Just an exceptional day from him. It looked like he was been playing at this level for years, and it's his first collegiate start. And I'm sure it helps that your dad's a Syracuse legend and has played at the pro level and has had plenty of success there. But I mean, this kid is something. There's a lot to like through 2 games.
Yeah, I think there's 2 sides of the pressure when it comes to being Carmelo Anthony's kid. Because on one end, everyone's talking about Kyan right now, and SportsCenter's posting him, and it's on NBC, and it's everywhere. But at the same time, he's been under this pressure for a very long time, and all of these cameras, it's different.
He's
but
now finally in college.
It is, but to a point, he is used to having the spotlight on him, and he's obviously comfortable. He's
Absolutely.
not. I mean, you were in the locker room with him.
Yeah.
Is he normal, ready for it? Because sometimes I've noticed over the past couple of years being in the locker room, the freshmen can be a little bit nervous at the start. I'd imagine he just seems like he's there. He's one of the guys.
This was one of the things that got asked to him in the locker room, and he said he thinks it's just natural. He's used to this moment. He's used to the pressure, as you mentioned. He said it's natural for him, and I think you see that in the way he plays. He just looks so comfortable out there.
It's genetic.
Genetic. That's a good shout. He has a nice connection, I think, with his teammates, but he just looks so calm out there, and whatever he takes whatever the defense gives him, and I think that's what again stuck out to me watching him play. He talked about this in the locker room. He said his offensive philosophy is literally just reading the defense, taking what they give him. If they're giving him a deep look, he'll take it. If they give him a lane to the hoop, he'll take it. And he showed that today. He scored from all 3 levels, and he had a pretty easy time doing it from wherever he wanted to on the court.
And that's what I really like about his game, because like he said to you post-game, right? He's going to take what's given to him, and he did a little bit of everything. Knocked down a couple of threes, but then has that – he can get to the rack, right? But he has that mid-range game too. And I know that's something he's talked about where, sure, the mid-range shot is a lost art, and it really is, but That's something his dad Carmelo has stressed to him, that you need to get this down to be a great player. And I honestly think basketball is becoming more and more unwatchable because of how much it's let's chuck threes up. So it's a little refreshing, I would say, to have a guy like Kiyan Anthony, who is developed by his dad, right? Who's helped by his dad, to say, I want you to really develop your mid-range game and get real good at this shot. And that's going to be a high percentage opportunity if they're giving it to you. And I think that's something we saw today, right?
Absolutely. He was attacking whatever the defense was giving him. And I think that it's rare to see a kid of his age and of his status back up what he says with the way he plays on the court. And that's exactly what he did today. I mean, he just looked so comfortable out there. And like you said, attacking from wherever he could, whatever was available to him, and he made it look easy wherever he was shooting from.
Here's the one thing I will say about him, because, we can't just be giving all positives. There's stuff to work on.
Sure.
I feel like there are some moments where it seems like he's maybe a little bit too confident in his ability to go score the basketball, where it almost seems like he puts his head down and he's going to the racket, and it's his shot on that possession no matter what. And against Delaware State, that works. When you're playing Houston, when you're playing Kansas, and you're playing those other teams with really good defenders, that's where I would get worried. And I hope that confidence doesn't go too far to the point where he's turning it over. But again, that's where it's hard to tell. Was Delaware State just that bad, and he's that confident against them? How does he look against your better teams? That's really, I think, what I'm most interested to see in the next couple weeks, and when this team goes to Vegas to take part in the Players Era. Because, did it feel like that at all to you, that he almost just puts his head down at times and says, I'm going to the rack to score here?
Maybe at times, but to me, I saw that more today from Sadiq White than Kiyan Anthony.
I agree.
And Sadiq White, when he first came in the game, looked hungry for the ball.
It's
he looked
a common
like
freshman
he was
issue.
willing to only wanted to be out there to put the ball in the basket. I didn't see that from Kiyan today.
No,
personally.
he still had 4 assists, never turned the ball over, right?
First 2 plays of the game, he found Donnie Freeman on a 2 assists right there.
That first play of the game was gorgeous. That was the best set offense I've ever seen a Syracuse basketball team under Adrian Autry run. It absolutely was, because Donnie Freeman has not shot the 3 ball well at all. He was 1 for 9 in the 2 exhibitions in the opener. First possession, the ball doesn't touch the floor. They pass it around. 20 seconds in, Donnie Freeman makes a 3 from straight away. That set the tone. That is something that we simply have not seen from Adrian Autry coach teams over the last 3 years. It is different in that case of they are willing to pass the ball around and find that shot. And I don't think I would have ever seen a Syracuse team not put the ball on the floor for the first 20 seconds of a possession.
100%. And Anthony said post-game, he said they're a very selfless team. That's something they've kind of honed in on in the offseason. He said specifically to himself that he's definitely been working on his playmaking a lot. And Autry said in that post-game presser specifically about Kiyan, he was adamant in this. He made it a point that Kiyan is a good basketball player, not a good scorer. And that's what he kind of wanted to put out there.
Enough.
He understands that Kiyan's going to get labeled as a scorer, and Kiyan kind of addressed that too post-game. But Autry made it a point to say that before he's a good scorer, he's a good basketball player.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically for Kiyan too, and then also for the team in general, I think we are seeing a little bit more selflessness as compared to last year's team.
I agree. It's already evident in the way they're playing compared to last season. 83-43, Syracuse demolishes Delaware State. We're with you till 8:30 here on the Double Overtime. With Adam Gawkin, I'm Sam Reese. We're currently accompanied by our talk reporter from today's basketball game, in Ryan Croak, who was at the Dome. We'll touch a little bit more on football later on as well here on WAER Syracuse. Give us a ring, 315-443-2011. Again, we had some callers earlier on in the show. How pleased are you? How excited are you about this team, even though we're just 2 games into the season? Let us know, and we'd love to hear from you. Ryan, we've been talking plenty about Kiyan Anthony, but I've been loving the way Donnie Freeman's been playing.
Absolutely.
Back-to-back 20-point games to start the season. It's really, really awesome to see him fully healthy, because he missed the last 19 games of last season, had surgery done, on his foot, and it was an unfortunate way for his freshman year to come to an end, but he's really contributing in a lot of ways, and I know his family was in attendance too. Did he touch on that at all when you got to talk to him post-game?
Not much.
Okay.
Not much.
Gotcha.
But I mean, talking about the way he played,
Yeah.
he has just taken a leap
He
this
has.
year.
A
He's
lot of
been stellar.
confidence.
He looks a lot more physical, looks a lot more willing to seek out contact, and I think that's a big step for a guy like him at that forward spot. We know how talented he is, a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, and we didn't really see much of that physicality last year in comparison to these first 2 games. Again, put in the Delaware State and Binghamton tax. Is he going to look that dominant against ACC competition? Probably not, but he looks a lot more engaged. He looks a lot more willing to put his body on the line. I think that's a common theme up and down the roster as well. But specifically from him, he just looks a lot more confident in his ability to go at defenders. And I think that's a big thing.
I agree with you. I have made it very clear that I'm a Donnie Freeman guy as a DC native.
Yeah, that's the only reason why.
I saw him play many, many times in high school, and I saw him develop.
Hence my point.
Yeah, that's why he's my guy.
Sure.
Because I've seen him play a lot, and I saw him develop from freshman year until he was a junior before he ended up going to IMG, and he was always a tall, lanky, kind of stretch 4 guy who was running up and down the floor. But now he has fully filled in, and I think that this second year in college can take him to a completely different level because he could have gone to the NBA last year. He could have been a second-round pick, a late first-round pick potentially too, but he's come back, and I think already it's proving to be the right decision because, as you just said, like that physicality piece is absolutely a step up from where it was last year, and that confidence too it's just at another level right now.
100%. And I know you touched on his three-point shooting, which has been a struggle, but I think that that's a part of his game that he's shown he has. If he can kind of be more consistent in that area, he can become a true 3-level threat and just a nightmare for opposing defenses. And Delaware State head coach Sam Waterman said post-game, he said that it's really difficult to guard Donnie Freeman, specifically because of the talent around him. But he said, I don't know how many teams in the country are going to be able to guard him one-on-one, no matter what level they're playing at. And with a performance like today and Binghamton, kind of hard to not agree. Kind of hard to disagree.
He's one of those freaks that you start to see pop up more and more in basketball, and that you always see one of those. I want to be careful here, but your Giannis, Wemby type players, and the fact of it's a 7-foot-ish guy. Donnie's not 7 feet, but he's close. Who can handle the ball,
Like
and you know he can do everything, and it is a really, really tough matchup, and he has what it takes, I think, to be this team's top guy on offense.
Right, and he might have to because we don't know. Yeah, it's unfortunate that J.J. Starling had to miss this game, but Donnie Freeman with J.J. Starling out is the only returner that's back. So he might be a sophomore, but I think he's already realizing kind of the massive role he has on this team, right? And that's something he addressed at Media Day too, where Coach Autry allowed Freeman and Starling to basically help him with the recruits they wanted to bring in too. Like they let them have a say. And I think that only boosted Freeman's confidence as well, saying, okay, like I'm clearly, I'm clearly valued as in this team. I have to back that up with my performances. And Ryan, just quickly finishing up with Freeman, I guess it's a little concerning that he was dealing with foul trouble in the second half. It is what it is. I love the moment though where he picked up the third foul early second half, and he went, no, towards Adrian Autry. What was the perspective of that in the Dome? Because I loved it, actually, because he was adamant that, I want to stay in here and do my thing.
I loved it, too. I mean, how can you not? He's probably your most talented player on the roster, and he is in a game where they're up by north of 20 points at that point. The game was already decided, and he's in foul trouble, right? And he says, no, I want to be out here. I want to finish the job. And I think that you have to, especially considering what happened last season, I think it just goes to show how different the mentality is. And it speaks to how it just feels different from last season. I know you guys touched on it, where they played Lemoyne close last year and Youngstown State close. And through 2 games now, they've destroyed both the teams they've played. And that's the expectation, yes, but it just feels different. And it feels like they've figured it out under Autry.
I agree with you, and I think especially when those starters are out there, that's the case. The one thing that I really am frustrated with Coach Autry, though, through these first 2 games is I think he's been maybe a little bit too what's the best way to put this? A little bit too giddy to put his subs in. Less than 10 minutes into the game to have the hockey subs and have not a single starter still out there on the floor.
Yeah.
Has he addressed that post game?
He did.
Okay.
He was
I'd love to hear
adamant post game. He said, "This is how we will play.
No,
we will play 9 guys.
Well,
They're not going away from it anytime soon.
Against Houston,
get used to it. Buckle up, Adam. Buckle up.
You cannot
make sure that
put
buckles in, man.
Ibrahim Suarez and Luke Fennell
got him angry.
and those guys out on the floor against Houston. Like there is an obvious drop off against Delaware State
Fair
and
enough.
against Binghamton, where the offense just the defense is fine because those guys are still fighting, but the offense completely drops off. When you go up against a Kelvin Sampson coach team in Houston and Vegas,
it's not gonna
you
work.
cannot hockey
Fair enough.
sub your
I don't
these
hate
guys
it.
out.
I understand that. Is the expectation though that they're going to beat Houston? Is that the expectation coming into the season?
To give yourself the best chance.
Yeah, you
to
got to
Fair
give
enough.
yourself the best chance.
Personally, for me, I think it's good that they're finding their identity and they've found something they want to stick to it.
But
I think that's a good thing in the long run.
Your best players should be able to play 32 to 33 minutes easily. And would you rather have your best players on the floor more or have your backups on the floor more?
Absolutely right. And I think that we will see that more as we get into some of those tougher games. But
I hope
right
so,
now,
but Autry didn't say that.
Well, yeah, but right, I agree. Like for me, now is actually the time to experiment like he's doing.
Agreed.
So I don't hate it right now. But to Adam's point,
That
if
the answer
if
is what
this
makes me mad.
Yeah,
That's true.
if what Autry said is true, where like this is going to be a whole season thing, which like I don't think you can make a claim like that 2 games in. Like surely if you're the coaching staff and Adrian Autry, you might be saying that now.
I hope so.
But then when depending on how things play out,
Yeah.
you have to adjust.
Of
You know what
course.
I mean? So
he seemed very confident in it when he said it.
okay,
He was
fair
pretty
enough.
adamant.
Here's the thing, like Donnie plays 11 minutes in the first half. That's why I think that might be a real thing. Like Donnie Freeman in the first half has 13 points in 11 minutes. Like why
Keep him
is he
going.
only out there
Yeah.
for 11 minutes? Like
Right.
especially in the first half. Like if you're going to put these guys in, and I know we've been talking about this whole time about how you have to blow teams out for the net rankings, like build that big lead at the start of the game with Donnie in, and then maybe have those guys play a little bit more in the second half. And that might look different, and you don't want to lose that lead, but like I feel like there's points, and we saw it mainly against Binghamton, but a little bit in this game where the offense just gets into those ruts when Donnie or George is out of the game, and
Yeah.
I'm getting frustrated by it already.
Fair enough. I think it's good, like Sam said earlier, that you're figuring that out now
Yeah.
and you're building up to a tougher competition later on.
Sure.
You're seeing what you have. You're seeing who can be a spark plug, who can lead an offense, who can be that guy to fill in for Donnie Freeman when he's not on the court. And that's what they're experimenting with. And it's going pretty well, I'd say.
But it's like Bryce Zephyr playing 5 first-half minutes. How does that do anything to help you in ACC play?
Nah,
Like everything you do now should be helping you towards the end of the season.
Fair enough.
That's where I'm.
Well, you got to find out what he's made of. You got to find out what you can get from him.
The worst-rated defender in the Summit League, analytically. Yeah. I mean,
We have to say goodbye very quickly. 15 seconds here. JJ Starling, any update provided whatsoever?
Was he
I'm
walking?
assuming
He did not have anything on his feet. He was standing there. He was supporting the team. Was not dressed for the game, but he looked all right.
What was he like? Jumping around at all on the bench or stay? Because I noticed
Not
against
that I could
Binghamton,
see.
he
He was
couldn't even
sitting-
like stand on the bench.
I couldn't see him jumping around.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Ryan. Great insight from Ryan Croak, who's been waiting a while to join us here on the Double Overtime. Great coverage throughout the afternoon, and thanks for coming on.
Appreciate it.
All right, that's Ryan Croak. After the break, we'll shift focus back to football because Dan Shalom, our reporter down in Miami, is waiting for us. So we'll talk all about Syracuse's 38-10 loss when the double overtime continues next. Dan, we'll have more after this. Stick around.
Thanks for listening. We hope you're enjoying this WAER sports broadcast. Our sports staff goes where the teams go, home and away, and prepare for days before each game broadcast. Our talk show and podcast hosts analyze games, pore over stats, and keep up on sports trends. These and many behind-the-scenes opportunities are made possible by listener donations. So if you're a fan or an alum, donate to keep our sports legacy strong at WAER.org and click donate.
Mexican singer Juan Gabriel sold millions of records and toured for decades to sold-out crowds before his death in 2016. A new Netflix documentary series tells the story of his life in his own voice through tape shown for the first time. Plus, the latest on the government shutdown. The next morning edition from NPR News.
Weekdays from 5 to 9 on 88.3 WAER.
Hi, this is Steve Inskeep with NPR News. Thanks for sticking with us.
It's Layla Fadel. Thank you for having our back.
It's A. Martinez. Thank you for staying informed with us.
It's Michelle Martin. Thank you for trusting us.
Thank you for supporting this station.
Thank you for supporting this station.
Thank you for supporting this station.
We'll get through this together.
And from us here at WAER Syracuse Public Media, we thank you so much for your support and listenership.
Democrats racked up big wins on Election Day, focusing on issues like affordability, the economy, and the fight against Donald Trump's policies. For the next installment of If You Can Keep It, we get into the issues that drove voters to the polls and the lessons that both parties can take away from Tuesday's results. That's next time on 1A.
Weekdays from 10 to noon on 88.3 WAER.
Ricky Collins in the gun, and he takes the snap, drops back 5 yards, steps up, fires right side, pass intercepted. Here they come at the 30, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Miami. Keontae Scott, the senior on the near side, had an opening lane down the left, and the Hurricanes extend their lead right before halftime.
Welcome back into the double overtime here on WAER. Adam Gotkin and Sam Reese with you. We were just talking some hoops after SU's 40-point win over Delaware State. Unfortunately, it is time to talk more football. Syracuse got blown out once again, this time by Miami, 38-10. Sixth straight loss for the Orange, sixth straight blowout loss for the Orange. Syracuse is not bowl eligible this year for the first time since 2021. Yeah. But some good news for you all. We've got our good friend Dan Shalom joining the show live from the 315 against 305.
Yeah.
Fun little matchup there.
Still 80 degrees out there.
Dan, you enjoying the warmth? Because it is cold and awful up here.
Guys, that's probably the only thing I've got going for me here today is that it's still warm. It's a breezy 7. Let's say personally, I'm a little bit cool right now, but compared to you guys, I would say that I'm quite warm.
So I know the stadium isn't like on the beach. Have you been able to touch sand, see some water?
I have not touched sand yet. I've seen the water. The stadium's about 30 minutes inland from the water, so definitely going to try and hit it before having to come back up to Syracuse. There was supposedly snow in the forecast for when I land, so that's going to be a rude awakening, just like it was today for Syracuse.
Yeah, that was a tough football game. And, Dan, I think the most interesting thing about it was that there was, 25 minutes where the Orange were completely in it, and the game was 0-0?
All the way, but the only reason that they were in it was because of the defense, obviously. And then the offense just simply had nothing all game. But you looked at that first 26 minutes, and Fran Brown talked about it plenty in his post-game press conference. He said, hey, we competed. We were there toe for toe, and we can go out there and compete with anybody. That 26 minutes shows me that we are capable of going up against any ranked team on any different stage. And then obviously it all fell apart. Ricky Collins kind of went back to what he was. He played pretty smart in that first quarter, but then it all just went downhill. But the main piece to take away from Fran Brown was that he was very proud of his team's fight for that first 26 minutes.
Hold on. I mean, I guess you take your wins where you can get them. So he didn't really focus at all on the entire second half post game. Like, I mean, that was like such bad
You just
football.
said that was them getting outplayed. Miami's a good team. They finally started to show up, and I mean, let's not sugarcoat it here, guys. We know that Syracuse's offense isn't anything.
No.
This is
I
the
get,
most Fran Brown thing ever.
What, okay, but did Fran Brown mention the decision making to go for a field goal?
Was he asked about this?
Was he asked about that?
No, he was not asked. He did not discuss it. He did not talk about the field goal.
For me, that was throwing the red flag.
You should have asked him about that. That's
for
I'm
me,
throwing
that was
a flag
him
on
surrendering.
you. Yeah. It's a flag on you, Dan.
I mean, guys, what do you expect? Even if they punch in that touchdown, Syracuse is still going to lose this
yeah,
game by
but
you have a
20.
chance.
But it's a sign. It's like, for me, Fran Brown, by having the darn field goal unit come out, was like him basically saying they're giving up. Which was like crazy, only down 2 scores. Yeah, we were talking about this earlier. I don't know, maybe you feel a different way, Dan.
I don't know. I don't disagree with you either, but it felt like the way that things were turning.
No,
I
they
felt
had a
that
good
there was no way that they were going to win the game after what happened in the final 4 minutes of that first half.
But if they score,
I mean, did you guys see that?
Yes, but that's our point here. If they score a touchdown and make it a 7-point game, then both offenses have only scored 7 points. Ricky Collins threw a pick 6. Like, maybe you have a chance to come back, but the second they kicked the field goal, Syracuse was not going to score.
And the offense wanted to stay on there.
Yes,
like, they really wanted to go for it.
I listen, I agree with you in the fact that they should have gone for the touchdown, but I do not think that it makes a difference in the grand scheme of things. Really at all, to be honest with you. If you saw the way that this offense was operating today, it looked anemic in that second half and in the first half. I mean, they had 5 punts in just their first 7 drives.
Well, you got to get your best player on the field. You got to get your best player on the field. He was great today. He had that 1 punt down to the 2.
He's getting plenty.
That was
of
good.
He was really good. And credit Jack Stonehouse, credit where credit is due. But I think Fran and everyone kind of around this program at this point kind of knows that the offense isn't going to give you anything. They were solely relying on the defense to keep them in the game for so long.
They were.
And you know that against a Miami team who's extremely talented, it was eventually going to break.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's sad but true. I think everyone's come to the conclusion, right, that there's no good answer at the quarterback position, right?
And Fran talked about that.
Okay, I was going to ask you about that. Just like him deciding to start Ricky, right? Like,
he said that Ricky gave them the best chance to win coming into the game. That was the classic line that you've heard before. Same thing again this week. But it really, in my opinion, I think Ricky does give them the best chance to win. You saw Filardi at the end. I don't really buy too much stock into that. It was a garbage time touchdown.
But good for the kid.
I mean, if you look at the first quarter, it's not like Ricky was playing necessarily bad. It's just that the offense didn't get clicking. The run game started to get going a little bit in that third quarter, and that's what really made you think, hey, maybe Syracuse can punch in a touchdown here. But in all honesty, Ricky did not play good, but I would say this was probably his second best game. To be honest with you, the second interception was not his fault either. That one was just off the fingertips, and that was an unfortunate break.
No.
I don't pin that one on him either.
This might be his best game.
Which is crazy to say. A guy who went 12 for 25 and threw 2 interceptions, and it was his best game.
Because he lost them the SMU game. I didn't think he lost them this game.
That's true. It's unfortunate. Did Fran mention anything about the quarterback for next game? Was that asked? I mean,
no, he did not talk about the quarterback.
Well, he's
for
got
next
plenty
game.
of time.
I would expect, in all honesty, guys, I would probably think that you put Ricky out there for Notre Dame and then let Luke Carney finish it out, and he takes the red shirt in the season finale against BC.
Can I just go on a little rant here? This whole Luke Carney red shirt thing makes me so angry. Like, I understand we just saw the ramifications with Kyle McCord last year of what happens if you let a guy play another game. The Kyle McCord situation was he played 2 snaps towards the end of a game. I would so much rather have Luke Carney start today and develop in a game. I don't care what happens in 2029. We might not be playing college football in 2029. Aliens might be on the earth. There might not be any conferences. Who knows what's going to happen in 2029? That is so far down the road. I mean, these guys might be making $10 million, and who knows what's going to happen? You can't be thinking about 4 years in the future. You have to talk about now. And if you think Carney can help you win now, then you got to do that. I don't understand the putting Filardi in, and then if Carney's the guy, why would you save him for BC? I don't think anybody saw a season without Steve Angeli, to be honest with you. And Frank got asked an interesting question in the press conference. He was asked, does this game
change? Does it make you think that you should change how you recruit going forward? And it was a very poignant question, and the guy that asked it was looking for an answer, and what Fran said was, I don't think I can answer that right now because that's so disrespectful to my players. But then he proceeded to go on a rant where he felt like his guys were really gelling and had a ton of chemistry when Steve Angeli was the quarterback. So again, I think this all ties back to Angeli at the end of the day. Clearly, in this program's mind, it was Angeli with not really a backup plan because Angeli was the backup plan for Ricky Collins, and then it's just all gone awry since then.
Yeah, I mean, when your starting quarterback goes down, it's understandable that everything falls apart in the football season. The quarterback is everything, and it is completely fallen apart for Syracuse. They lose to Miami 38-10 today. We're breaking it down here on the Double Overtime. Adam Gotkin and Sam Reese with you. We're joined by Dan Shalom, who is down in Miami. You can call in at 315-443-2011 if you want to ask Dan any questions about the game. Dan, I noticed that Steve Angeli was there. That's the first time this season that he has gone on the road since getting hurt. And to me, that is a very positive sign that he is 10,000% coming back next year.
Well,
I was happy that he was here.
I want to pose you a question here. Do you go back to Steve next year, or do you just find someone better in the portal?
Of course.
Well, why would you? He was the leading passer in the country before he got hurt.
The guy tore his Achilles. You know how quarterbacks are in their first year back. Who knows if he's going to be the same?
He has a full year of what?
I think it's something
you're going to go out and get another. You're going to go out and get a guy of the same caliber of Ricky Collins, who's a former 4-star, who's at a school like LSU, who hadn't played before. Steve Angeli has proven at least capable starter in the ACC, if not a borderline elite starter in the ACC.
I want to agree with you. I don't know if it's going to be that way when he comes back.
He's not a runner.
But who, to Adam's point, Dan, we're double teaming you here. Steve Angeli, right?
I get that he's a pro-style offense guy, but still,
but regardless of Angeli, right? Well, kind of regardless. Considering what he did, what quarterback that's better than what Angeli's proven is Syracuse going to get? That will want to come here, and knowing coming in, by the way, that they'll have to compete with Angeli.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a guarantee.
Well, I guess your hope is that
you know what I mean.
Filardi, Carney, Rich Beeline, Bellin.
What I'm trying to get at is
get better.
You still need to go get someone.
Do you?
You need someone to back up Angeli, because what if what happens this year happens again next year?
Yes.
I don't trust Filardi next year, even if he's a sophomore. I still think you need to go out and get someone else to have on the depth chart.
I think that's a fair point, but
no, it is. To say that,
it's hard to recruit a backup quarterback.
Yes,
I think that's a tough.
Hopefully,
thing.
it's a more it's a better one than Collins, but ideally, but
with how the money works today too, are you picking between a backup quarterback with how much quarterbacks cost, or edge rusher who can be a really good guy on third downs, who's a pass rush specialist? How high up on the list can that be? That's the one thing that I worry about when it comes to the backup quarterback. But there are other people playing football other than the quarterback. And Dan, I think the one place that I was pretty happy today was the secondary. I thought that Chris Peel had a really good game. I thought, especially in the first half. In the second, the talent kind of just took over for Miami all over the place. But I thought Peel was good, and I thought Demetrius Samuel had a good game. What did you see?
I wanted to talk about him. He talked to us post-game, and he actually had a very upbeat vibe about the game. Not that, he was happy about losing, but he had an optimistic mindset about this team. Right off the bat, it was, we're building something special here. I felt like that I had a competitive game today. And I think, guys, that we're really seeing him start to progress and gain some of that veteran experience. He even said, moments like these, Fran Brown always says, I'm the youngest guy in the room, but he does not want me to act like that. And it seems like Samuel is starting to step up in more of a leadership role for this team. And he was playing both sides of the ball towards the end of the game as well, something that we really haven't seen that much. But he seemed very optimistic about this team's future and building this program. He said next year when we see Miami, it's going to be a much different game.
Well, they sent out the 4 true freshmen as the captains, didn't they?
They did, and that's something
so
that
that's
Fran
cool.
talked about as well. He said that he has belief in his guys, belief in the future, belief in the program, and that's the biggest message that they've been trying to get across here over the last couple of weeks is that this season obviously was not supposed to happen. You have to keep believing in us. And right now, Syracuse's young core, I'm excited about it. Like, going forward in the future, they have something special in that locker room right now, and I think it's building, especially with these losses. Sometimes it meshes the team together more than you think, and I really like what they're building with this young group.
That's a good thing to hear as well.
It's a mature way of thinking.
Right.
It's not the short-term thought that just takes over the world right now.
The team could easily, just kind of give up and be distraught about everything, but at least there's that confident attitude in what the future has in store.
Samuel said, too, that we're going to go out there and try our hardest and play to win the next 2 games. It's not like they're rolling over to end the season. They still want to go out there and give full energy for all 60 minutes.
Dan, we have to say goodbye soon, but I quickly want to ask you about just your experience at Hard Rock Stadium. It doesn't seem like Miami has a good fan base just because of how far the stadium is from campus. How much of that stadium was empty, and also, were you focusing on the shirtless student section? That was kind of electric. Yeah, did you join them?
I did not join them. I saw them up there in the 300s, but as I was walking into the stadium, I did realize, hey, there's a lot of people tailgating this game. Like, it is pretty flooded here. But then when we came into the stadium, it was about an hour till game time. It was pretty empty. Then I would say at kickoff, it was kind of like a Syracuse game where, that lower bowl is pretty filled, but once you go beyond that, it's pretty empty. Besides that 300 section that had the shirts off, they were going wild all game long, and credit to them. But the student section, it was like a frat party, guys. They had, smoke cannons going on. The DJ was right next to them. It was a party in there. They had the hurricane horn going. I wanted to be in there, having a great time. It was awesome.
Yeah.
But it was a really good atmosphere. I would definitely say that there were more students than I expected. But, again, I mean, our sidelines guy, Jay Klein, is with a couple of Miami guys on this weekend, and he said that, they don't even think to come to the game. They think of it as a joke to even come up here and come watch. You're going to the game
be on
tomorrow?
the beach.
They didn't even know who Miami was playing until today. So I would say that the fan base is obviously not very tied in, but there's enough community support around, and it made for a really good atmosphere. You could hear it get pretty loud in the big scenarios.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining us. Safe trip back to Syracuse, or you could also just stay down there. We would not blame you.
I have to avoid the snow. I'm allergic to the cold.
Yeah, we would not blame you if you missed your flight on purpose. So, hopefully you make it back. If not, we also understand. So, with that, unfortunately, we have to let you go. It is time for our final words. Quick note before that, Miami should not have the shirtless student section. That is reserved for bad football teams. That is what Oklahoma State started. That is what Syracuse should be doing.
Yeah.
Bad teams do that. Miami is ranked. They should not do that. All right, your final word, Sam.
Let's get into it. I disagree with you, but sure, that's not my final word. My final word is that Syracuse is going to end the season on an 8-game losing streak. Yeah. Notre Dame, definitely a loss. Now, Boston College is the one you got a chance in, right? At the Dome, BC's terrible. We've touched on it, but I've seen enough where Syracuse will find a way to lose that. They're gonna commit a stupid penalty. They'll fumble it. It'll be a close game. Don't get me wrong. It'll come down to the wire. It'll be a close game for a change, not a blowout loss. But Syracuse is going to lose that game, sadly. Nothing tells me differently right now. I don't care how bad the Eagles are. And the Orange will end the season with a 3-9 record, losing its last 8.
Ooh, that's tough.
Yeah.
All right, well, for me, because we did talk both football and basketball on this show, I'm going basketball. And for my final word, I'm a little bit frustrated with myself that I can't take the 100% stance on this, but I think it's too early. We're 2 games into the season.
Sounds like on the fence to
me. So I'm going to say this. We should be starting the conversation of, does Tyler Betsy replace Nate Kings in the starting lineup? I think that it's too early for me to come on here and say, make the change. but the conversation at least has to be had because Tyler Betsy and Nate Kings are both sharpshooters. That's what makes both of their games special. Adrian Autry does not run an offense that caters to that. That is a simple fact. They do not run set offenses that gets shooters open. Tyler Betsy is more athletic, and Tyler Betsy can do more on the ball. He's shown that through the 2 games this year, and he's also shot the ball better.
Yeah.
Like he has shot the ball better.
He's been nice with it.
So I think that the conversation has to be had. Tyler Betsy, a former 4-star, is he the starting small forward as this year gets deeper and deeper? That is where I want to see the most rotation because Nate Kings, unfortunately, just hasn't done it for me yet. And, of course, for a guy like him, it's not all on him. He has to be put in the right spots, but it almost feels like he's just a bit of a wasted player out there sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a great final word. I don't think it's too early to be talking about that. I don't.
But you can't say make the change yet. We're 2 games in.
Probably not,
early.
but I've liked what I've seen more from Tyler Betsy than Nate Kings. That's for sure. I think he's been a big bright spot and maybe a transfer that, was not pushed to the side, right? But not given enough attention as he maybe should have because of the other guys that have come in, like Nathan George, like William Kyle, like Nate Kings himself, who was a great 3-point shooter at Oregon State, but, isn't getting those looks so far through 2 games. Betsy, nice, pull-up shooter who's proven himself through the first couple of games. I think he's making a case right now. And I think that was a good final word, Adam.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well,
luckily for us, we don't have to watch Syracuse football next week because it is the bye week. So the next time that WAER Sports will be on your airwaves next Saturday at 3 o'clock for Countdown to Tip-Off. That's McClurg Remodeling Countdown to Tip-Off ahead of the 3:30 tip against Drexel. By the way, the Dragons, not good when it comes to KenPom preseason, 243, but they were very competitive today. Lost by just 11 against St. Joe's. That is an A10 team that Syracuse played last year and was pretty competitive against. So that might not be as much of a pushover. So it might be at least a bit of a competitive game.
So
but still, Syracuse needs to blow them out.
Yeah, but that's all the reason why you should tune in to WAER for that game. I agree, though. Should still be a comfortable win. I'm not talking 40-point blowout against Delaware State. I didn't get to mention this, Adam, but got to make your free throws. This could have been a 50-point game today.
Absolutely. Have to make your free throws. And that's going to be interesting to watch. Just 2 more games to go until Syracuse heads to Vegas to take part in the Players Era.
Viva.
Play Houston, Kansas. That's going to be tough. Well, for Syracuse football, just 2 more games to go. In the regular season, the Orange take on number 10 Notre Dame. 2 weeks from today, McClurg Remodeling Countdown to Kickoff is at 3 for a 3:30 kick. Big thank yous go out to our producer, Nick King, our engineer, Nico Horning, our good friends who joined us, our men's basketball reporter, Ryan Croak, our football reporter, Dan Shalom, and as always, the WAER Sports Talk Desk of Jason Glick, Josh Radjanov, and Nick Zupi. None of this could be done without you guys. All right, well, thank you all so much for tuning in to this edition of the Double Overtime. Another loss for the football team, but the biggest win of the Adrian Autry era on the hardwood. All right, for Sam Reese, I'm Adam Gotkin. Have a great rest of your weekend, everyone.